So, to accomplish this, there are 10 types of systems that need to be integrated with each other. And we start with the idea that our requirements are evolving all the time. Then we need to plan and manage based on the fact that our requirements are evolving. We do that with a knowledge management tool. Some examples might be SharePoint or Confluence. Slack is a knowledge management tool people are using, and there are others. We also, at the plan and manage point in the process, we're using an issue tracker, hopefully integrated with our knowledge management tool. And some examples are Jira, there's Rally, there's SharePoint, GitHub, and lots of others. None of these sections are going to be exhaustive list. There are lots of tools. But we move from the plan and manage phase into the developer phase. And in terms of integrating all this together, code repository needs to be integrated. And there are so many of those, we filled several slides on those, but examples to get people to know exactly what we're talking about: a Bitbucket, a GitLab, TFS, GitHub, lots of others. I'm not putting the developer's laptop on it because a lot of the systems that we're talking about can have microcosms on the developer's laptop. And then there's the grouping of systems related to deployment and operations. And that includes pipeline tools, like for example, a Jenkins. Electric Flow is another one. There are lots of pipeline tools. We also have this idea that we used to think that infrastructure was something we created inside our own company. Infrastructure actually can be something that's code. We write a program that spins up our environment. It takes parameters, and so our environment then can be cloned countless times in all of our different projects, spun up, deployed to, tested, and then torn down in so many different contexts that it brings about the capacity for a lot of change. I'm a big fan of Terraform because Terraform is something that enables an organization to be agnostic with respect to cloud. That means that you can write your infrastructure in Terraform and then implement the same applications and systems in a combination of clouds or in any cloud, whether it's AWS or Azure or Google. There are also command line interfaces that are specific to the clouds. I tend to gravitate away from those personally because I want it to be agnostic, and there are other tools for this. Once we've built the infrastructure, we've got to configure it, and there are lots of tools for this: your Chef, your Puppet, your Ansible, and lots of others. And then we all know that the apps themselves get built up using tools like Maven and Gradle. And we've got containerization, and essentially what containers are is they create a virtual environment that can then be moved around in a very resource light way. And examples of this are Docker. There are lots of container tools. And then there's container orchestration, and Kubernetes and Docker Swarm, are good examples of orchestration tools that again support this idea of being agnostic with respect to cloud. So if everything's being put in containers that are being orchestrated into infrastructure that's built up, the computing instances that are being built up in various clouds, it doesn't really matter because you're not using all of the AWS object model or all of the Azure object model. You're using the object model that is available through these cloud agnostic tools. And then lots and lots of test tools. And the result of integrating these 10 types of systems is that your systems in the whole organization from end to end are able to evolve much more quickly. So how do you pick the tools here? My viewpoint on this is you want to look at what your workflows are going to be before you go looking at tools. If you have tools, you want to avoid straying from your core business and focus on allowing your vendor to be able to provide a lot of the knowledge that was put into designing their software. Some integrations are going to come out of the box in some tools more so than others. Other integrations require plugins, but there are a lot of plugins that are available. And the idea here is that we need to be able to integrate these 10 types of systems, and we want to do it in a way where we're not straying from our core business. And if we're looking at this again sometime, and we're back in the video and we're stopping it and we're saying, hey, you know, you looked at Docker images in this, you looked at the images that are instantiated as containers, but we're not mentioning machine images in this because that's another presentation where once you've put all this together, you can actually optimize even all this with an image-based architecture where you're shooting around machine images to the different clouds instead of, instead of shooting around containers.